Oh, here we go with another live. Let me see if I can send this out. Hang on. Oh, here we go with another live. Let me see if I can send this out. Hang on. Oh, here we go with another live. Let me see if I can send this out. Hang on. Okay. A lot of things are going on the planet. And I'm trying to figure out why I feel so compelled to do the live, because there's always a reason. And so what I think I'm going to do, I think what I'm going to do is do a reading. And it's not going to be about us. It's going to be about the planet, which is us. But it's going to be about the planet. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're gonna do a reading on what the fuck is going on the planet, and what we need to do as a people, individually and collectively, because this shit show can't continue. There is an apathy based on multiple levels of consciousness. One consciousness is that many of you figure somebody else can do it. The other apathy is that you're not ready because you don't have your shit together. The problem with the New Age community is that they keep making you feel as if you've got to be fully healed to be a healer. To be fully healed to be a healer. You believe that shit? Like anyone's fully healed on this planet. Clearly not. But there are people in the New Age community who have been spewing this nonsense for decades and getting away with it. And acting as if they're fully healed. Which is a lie. No one's ever fully healed in this planet. Because you see, not only are we healing this incarnation, but we're healing some scars from past incarnations. That's why we're never fully healed. The more you heal, the more shit surfaces that are somatic, unexplainable. It's not something you can actually articulate into words. That's why sometimes you cry and you have no idea why you're crying. None. Not a clue. What's interesting is that the ancients must have known that we were full of shit when it came to, you're fully healed. There must have been people spewing that shit, because we do have the wounded Chiron as an archetype. The wounded healer. I keep calling it the wounded Chiron. It's actually Chiron, the wounded healer, as an archetype. And there's a feeling of powerlessness as we see injustice by a very small percentage of people. So tonight, I'm actually going to do a tarot reading on why, like what do we need to understand as a people? Because, and the first card that literally jumped out, I'm not joking, I was about to shuffle, is the High Priestess upside down. You can't make this shit up if you tried. The High Priestess upright means psychic energy, this incredible connection with the divine, the incredible connection with your host planet, which is this planet Earth. So it's feeling, it's having the unspoken knowing, it's trusting in your oracle dreams, in trusting in this angst, in this hit. It's something that grabs you by the throat and says, let's go, let's do this. And you do it. That's upright. Upside down means we're not listening to any of this shit. None of it. We're not listening to any psychic downloads. We're not listening to our oracle dreams. We're not listening to our desires. We're completely blind. Okay? And so this is, again, remember, this is the collective reading. And so I'm just going to go with this. I'm going to go left and I'm going to continue. The Hermit sideways means, and again, remember, this is a collective reading based on the fuckery that we're all watching. It's like watching one train wreck piling up against another. Okay. So, High Priestess upside down into the Hermit, which sideways, which means, excuse me, which means I'm going within. I'm going to take some time. It's like the yogi going into the cave to meditate and to figure it out, but it's been stopped. Why? A new beginning based on love. Let's get some more clarity. Ten of Pentacles, crowning the reading. Recent past, Nine of Pentacles, independence into judgment. Judgment is something dead coming back to life. It's literally people coming out of coffins who, you could say, a recycling of energies. So when you sleep, when we die and we incarnate, the premise is that we're going to get better, more enlightened, more wisdom, right? So if you look at your consciousness when you were a 10-year-old, and then you look at yourself even at 18-year-old, you are a completely different person in your understandings of this incarnation. The essence of the Joe or the Jill that you're playing, this role of the egoic framework that you embody, is clearly same, right? That's why you'll hear 89-year-olds saying, I still feel like I'm 16. So there's the joie de vivre that is always going to be that essence of that 14-year-old girl or boy that you were, right? Thank you for the gift. But judgment is saying, there's an opportunity. The foundation is here. What are you going to do with that foundation? Crowning the reading is Ten of Pentacles. Ten of Pentacles is money, legacy. It means marriage, but something that goes on and on after you're long dead. It's the concept of the gardener that plants trees, fruit trees, and the gardener knows that she will never be there to eat the fruit of those trees. Okay? So it creates a garden. It creates a planet for the abundance of others. There's a selflessness to that, right? And so the problem is, though, there's this idea of all about being in the material world. Ten of Pentacles. Pentacles is all about worldly concerns. It deals with the zodiac signs, Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn. It's a rooted energy. It's not bad, actually. It's good, really. But the problem is, it's sitting on top of the High Priestess upside down. That's a problem. Into the High Priest upside down, Hermit is going sideways, meaning I want to introspect, but no, I'm onto something else that's making me, I'm in love with this new project. Into the Six of Pentacles, it's about breadcrumbing and imbalance of give and take. What do I say that? Because from Six of Pentacles, again, a lot of earthly matters. Remember, the question is, what are we doing as a collective in this planet right now with everything that's going on? So Six of Pentacles is an imbalance of give and take. Could be even breadcrumbing. Into Eight of Pentacles, a learning curve. Into death, transformation. Into the ninth position of the Four of Swords is what you're afraid of. Getting sick, being unable to move, being bedridden, being brokenhearted, but healing from the broken heart. Into the life's card, last card is the Knight of Swords. Knight of Swords is Gemini, Libra, and what's the other sign? Gemini, Libra, bloody hell, my mind just went blank. Gemini, Libra, Aquarius energy, right? But it's not about a sun sign. It's about an energy of impatience. It's a youth. It's a ute, like a youth, right? It's this teenage boy or girl that's like, fuck this. I'm sick of this shit. It's like an indigo child energy, right? Wanting to kick down the door, saying, let's get to it, let's get to it. It's an impatience. Let me clarify. Why is the High Priestess upside down, please? The Seven of Cups. Why? Because the Seven of Cups is saying, I'm so confused. I'm emotionally bereft. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to believe in. I don't know what to choose. But it's a complete emotional confusion of what do I do now? I am so emotionally triggered, that I don't know what to choose, what to do. Tell me more about the High Priestess upside down. And because of that, there's a homeless energy, Five of Pentacles. I don't know what to do. I feel homeless. I feel bereft. I feel lonely. It's almost like going into a fetal position. Tell me more. Into the world. And the world is promising the end of a cycle into a new cycle. What is Ten of Pentacles all about, please? The King of Cups. Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio energy. But the King of Cups is, from the cards below his feet, there's a lot of, it's an emotional turmoil. Six of Cups, hoping for something from the past. Four of Pentacles, clinging to the past. There are people who are actually saying, I want things how they are. Okay? I want things how they were. You know, like, for example, Make America Great Again. That's not the answer, my friends, because it hasn't reached that goal yet. I'm sorry. We need to co-create something brand new. Because no matter how you slice it, no matter what you think, boomers in the 1980s were not making enough money, and all my friends, I can tell you that from experience, all my friends were living with their either with 5 roommates in a house, or with their parents. Don't drink the Kool-Aid to think that this is brand new shit. It's worse shit, but it's not brand new. We don't want it to be as it was. We don't want the concept of greed is good. Wall Street, the movie. We don't want this accumulation of wealth into now we have billions of, we have these billionaires walking around who actually don't give one fuck about distribution of wealth. In fact, they don't. They're hoarders. They're mentally ill. They're hoarders, okay? So we don't want the past. We want a new beginning. And that's the problem I'm seeing in this reading with the King of Cups to the Six of Cups to the Four of Pentacles. I'm holding on to the past. I want the past. And that's why your High Priestess is upside down, because you're not listening to your downloads that are showing you the future. You don't want to go back. You want to go forward. Does that make sense? All right. Hermit sideways. Why is it sideways, please? Death. Okay, Hermit sideways is saying, I'm not going to introspect. I'm not going to go into my cave. I'm not going to meditate. I've got other things to do. And death comes in, and it's unpleasant. It's a transformation. Number 13. Scorpio energy on the side note. But it's number 13. 13 is regeneration. It's a change, and it can be brutal. Tell me more about the Hermit sideways. Knight of Pentacles. Knight of Pentacles is a slow-moving offer into the Eight of Wands. It's a contrast of slow down, and then go 120 miles an hour. There's change happening. Let me clarify that. Why are you giving me fast, or slow, and move? Okay, so what's happening is they're saying you're going to go very slow in your transformation. It's painful, and suddenly things are going to pick up pace into judgment. Here we go, judgment again with 20. And judgment is making a judgment call, but it's death. Transform and returning. It's an opportunity to right the wrongs. It's interesting what's happening here. Tell me about, thank you, Yessie. Tell me about Ace of Cups, please. Why is Ace of Cups here? Is this about love? 4 Cups. 3 of Swords. Holy shit. The Ace of Cups is an illusion of a new beginning. Do you get me? It's an illusion of, if I do this, I will have what I love. And what it's saying is that it could be, but what you love, what you want, there's a price. It's not going to be comfortable to do what you love. And so there's an opportunity coming. 4 Cups is saying you're refusing the opportunity. One of the reasons is because you're afraid of a broken heart. You're afraid of being hurt. You're afraid that if I make that choice, I will not win. And so there's an opportunity you're stepping back from. Because there's a fear of the 3 of Swords and the Tower. That is, so you've got the Death, the 3 of Swords, and the Tower. Yeah, it's a shit show. But the reason why this is going to happen is because the very fear that you're trying to run away from will catch up to you. So better stand in your fear and say, what would be the best solution for the future I seek? It may be uncomfortable to make that decision. That's where apathy needs to go. You got to kick apathy away. You've got to make decisions because you're afraid of fucking up. And in being afraid of fucking up, you're going to really fuck up. Does that make sense? Throw 3 of Swords to the Tower. And the Tower is a collapse. And the Tower comes only when you're clinging to a belief system that the universe says, you know what? They've got a white knuckle grip on this, on the steering wheel of your life. And we're going to have to crash the car because they're not listening. Remember, High Priestess upside down? You're not listening to divine guidance. You're not listening to yourself. So far, any questions so far? Again, this is a collective reading on what we should do as a people regarding what's happening in the planet. 6 of Pentacles, what's going on with that? The Emperor, my way, the highway. There's an arrogance, a swaggering energy into the 10 of Pentacles, into the moon. Interesting. 6 of Pentacles, breadcrumbing, unbalanced give and take, into the Emperor. Emperor is a swaggering energy. An emperor is a creator of empires. It destroys empires and creates empires. Into the 10 of Pentacles means for the legacy of the all. In other words, for the people who give you a legacy. In other words, there are leaders and then there are dictators. And they may have the flags of democracy or various types of philosophies whose flags are waved that are false flags. And so the Emperor is coming in saying, I want to build something for the greater good. And Emperor, don't mistake the gender. Could be a feminine or a masculine, fire energy, Aries. But it's a stubborn energy. And it says, I want to build something that will long live after I'm gone. I'm not even doing it for my ego. I don't care if my name will be remembered in this particular reading. Typically, Emperor is an arrogant energy. It wants to be remembered. It's like an Alexander the Great or General Patton, or, you get the idea. But in this case, this is an energy that is saying, what will you build with ferocity for your children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren? And the moon comes in. The moon is 18, spiritual material conflict. And the problem with the moon is that quite often in your life, you have known no paths. You didn't know where to walk or where you were going. But when you followed the compass of your heart through the blackest night, you made it out. Shocked, laughing, grateful, holy God, I made it. And similarly, this is what we're being asked as a collective. Yes, it is confusing. What is the path? It is filled by moonlight, and sometimes it will be the blackest, darkest of night. But as they say, it is the darkest before the dawn. So it's not about the lesser of two evils. It's not about asking yourself, should I take this or that? It's about, what do I really want for myself personally, for my family, those I love, and for the whole entire world. What is it? Well, I want abundance for everyone. Well, how will we be able to build that brick by brick? By not being apathetic, by not feeling as if we're not good enough to start speaking out, by actually realizing that all we need is 1% that is completely opposing the 1%. That's it. That's all we need. Why is the Eight of Pentacles here? The Eight of Pentacles is a learning curve. It's, how do I do this? I've never done this before. No shit. None of us have ever done this before. We've been in incarnations upon incarnations on this planet, other planets, dimensions, and we were not successful. But then again, we never had the scriptures and the wise ones, the ancient ones, who wrote down that the ascension would come one day. And that the meek should inherit the earth. That there would be a shift of power. That we had a choice and a free will. And we're on that platform. Eight of Pentacles, why is it here? Tell me more. Nine of Wands, exhaustion. We're all exhausted. Why? Because many of you are working 2 jobs, 3 jobs. Some of you are living in your cars, vans, tents, couches, on friends' mercies, at your parents' house, whatever. Trying to figure out, am I going to get more groceries today? Should I get ready for, should I prep? Should I be a prepper this month? And I'm not sure because I don't have the money, but I still have to pay my cell phone bill. That's why Eight of Pentacles is like, into the Nine of Wands is exhaustion. Into the Three of Wands, the portals are opening. Into the Two of Pentacles, the portals have opened, and yet the collective is juggling the Two of Pentacles. What is that? Juggling. What should I do? What's my priority? How do I triage this? Do I pay my bills? Do I meditate? Do I create content to fight the machine? What do I do? Nine of Wands says you do it all. Nine of Wands is exhaustion. Nine of Wands is a warrior that is hurt, limping to the final destination. And you may have to pause to drink water, to rest. But the Nine of Wands is saying the portals are open. Do it all. Spread yourself. Today, I'm going to handle this business. Tonight, I'm going to meditate. Tomorrow, I'm going to bring this business into me trying to figure out what I should do with that. Tonight, I'm going to meditate. I'm going to journal my dreams, my oracles, and I'm going to start posting some content. I'm going to start writing, speaking, creating music, whatever it is that my birthright in this incarnation, I was given tools, aka gifts, to help myself, those I love, and the collective. And instead of me asking myself, am I ready? Am I ready? The portals have opened. Yes, you're ready. All right. Death. Okay, the next card is death. We're getting death twice. And that's like when death comes in twice, it's a violent, unpleasant transformation. Why is death here, please? Nine of Cups. 5 of Cups. 7 of Swords. Nine of Cups is my wish fulfillment. I stand on my own. I am enough unto myself. I get it. But God, I've been so disappointed in the past. Seven of Swords, I've been lied to. And there's a part of you that no longer trusts yourself in your worthiness of changing the planet, as being part of the collective movement of changing the planet for the greater good. Because you've been disappointed. You've seen failures. You've seen injustice. It doesn't matter how old you are. And in the Seven of Swords, there's a part of you that knows the lies, but you're also lying to yourself. You're gaslighting yourself. It's like, I've used this analogy 1,000 times. It's like a toddler learning to walk. After 7 days, it says, Mom, I keep falling. I'll never walk. It's never going to work. It's never going to happen. You would never, ever, ever think that's normal. You would tell the toddler to keep learning how to walk, and eventually it will walk, and it will run, and will kick balls, and it will take running for granted one day. And that's where we are at all. All of us are toddlers. Learning to walk, learning to speak our truth, learning to control the shaking in our voices, the shaking in our bodies, and the feeling that it'll never work. The cynicism that has taken hold of many of you was, in a way, a Linus blanket. Because if you figured that, you were promised a bicycle as a kid, and you knew you were excited after 2 Christmases and never came, that bicycle never came, then you know that Christmas is never really Christmas for you personally. And so the problem with that is cynicism now gets installed, and you don't believe in magic anymore. But what you have to understand is that now you have empathy over children all over the world that have no Christmases, and that those experiences were good for you, because now you have the empathy. You understand viscerally what that means to be disappointed in love, in betrayals, in family trauma, in dynamics of trusting the wrong person who harmed you, hurt you, betrayed you, lied to you. Cynicism is not your friend. Not when it traps you, not when it jails you, which it does. So what it's saying here is the Nine of Cups is be enough unto yourself and trust that all that was blocking you is no longer in front of you unless you allow it. Last card, Knight of Swords. Tell me why the Knight of Swords is here. So the Knight of Swords is a messenger of impatience, almost rudeness, almost anger. It's a young energy. It's a, like I said, a teenage energy, and it's usually a brutal message. Ten of Wands is saying you're carrying these wands of burdens, the burdens of maybe your own inadequacies that you feel you're not ready. It could be all kinds of shit that you're carrying, and they're saying drop your burdens. Tell me more. Knight of Wands. Knight of Wands is wishy-washy, up and down energy. It's yo-yo energy. You're not sure. It's a fight between you and your ego. Into Chariot. Chariot is just go. Just fucking take what you see in front of you. The horizon that you were given by Source, by your soul, by your guides, by your light teams, and go with it. Just go. What is that fire that lights you up, that gives you passion? What is that? And just go for it. I'm going to go ahead and clarify. Tell me more about the Chariot. What are you saying? Ace of Cups. Do what you love most. Do not be distracted by false promises. We did see the Ace of Cups before. And in the Ace of Cups, we saw an opportunity coming, but you were not feeling prepared. Hence, Four of Cups came in. Remember? Four of Cups, refusing an opportunity, which will break your heart. Three of Swords, which will create a tower moment. It is not unusual in any situation, whether you are looking to start your business or learn a new language or run after, like allow love to embrace you. To, in the beginnings, be absolutely terrified of making a mistake. You know, there are two kinds of people. Those who are afraid of winning, that's a small number, and those who are afraid of failing. And you've already, many of us on the collective, and we've done a lot of failures throughout these incarnations. We have. And why wouldn't it be time now, as dark as this time is, why would it not be okay for us to win now? Why is it that you have all decided that the 1% gets to win again? Is that what you want? Do you want another 100 years of this bullshit? Do you want that for your children, your grandchildren? Do you want that for yourself if you have to incarnate back in the machine? That's the question we're being asked. Any questions or comments? Let me read your comments. Any question? Literally limping. I hear you. Literally. Okay. Sorry, we're going to make America great again, and Trump is coming back. Kelly, you didn't hear what I was saying. You didn't hear what I was saying at all. America was never great, okay? America could be great, okay? And Trump has a lot of, he's got a good team of people on his side. So you should actually listen. I'm sorry, but you should listen. And you should listen to what people have to say so you can actually comment appropriately. When you lie to yourself and say that America was great again, when we have internment camps, when we had slaves, and when we had all kinds of fuckery going on, and you say that's great, I think you need to wake up. Make America healthy again. That would be good, because many people were healthy before, and we have been the unhealthiest in generations. But let's be honest. Let's not keep lying to ourselves with a false arrogance that has put us in the shit show we're sitting on today. Okay? Let's stop the bullshit, because that's not going to make you win. Thank you for sparkling that fire in us. You're welcome. Did you mention earlier we are never done healing? I like that. We're never done healing. Okay? We're never done healing at all. Any questions or comments? Do you understand? When we are honest about the deficits of any country, right? When we understand, and we understand the history of this country, right? And we see what we're facing. What's funny about Kelly is that she actually doesn't even know who I was voting for. And not that it's anybody's business, but if you want to vote for a woman, definitely Kamala she's not the choice. It's if you want to vote for Jill Stein, vote for Jill Stein. If that's what you want as a woman, I get it. But if you want to vote for somebody who actually, at the very least, had some people on his team that are go-getters and fighters, then you've got a Kennedy. Had Kennedy just continued to run and Tulsi Gabbard would have been his VP, no doubt it would have been my vote, 100%. But when people keep saying MAGA instead of, what is it, Maha? Yeah, Maha. Okay, let's do that. But MAGA is actually a lie. And until you can look at what people went through that were not white, then you're being dishonest and you're not being fair at all. And you need to fucking own that shit. So we are, and we could make America great. The greatest nation that anyone's ever seen, ever. But that's going to take some very uncomfortable steps, which includes talking about racism, talking about a very myopic view of religion. There was a post I saw that was brilliant. It said, if you're going to teach Christianity in a school to Muslims, Jewish, and Buddhist children and spiritual children, then you should be willing to teach all the other religions. Okay? And by the way, Yeshua did not believe in religion, and that's in the Old Testament. And one of you can pull up that quote because it's there. Okay? He did not believe in religions. Okay? Most Americans have no self-awareness of our country. Most Americans are arrogant and lying to themselves, and that's why we've lost respect. I'm half American. My father served in World War II. In fact, he delivered France. And my mother, who was born in France in 1939, this is the irony of 6 degrees of separation, was on my grandfather's shoulders, in other words, her father, watching the parade of Americans walking down the Champs-Élysées. Okay? So if anyone's a patriot, it's me. More of it, why? Because I'm honest about the blood on the stains on our hands. Okay, the reason why we're getting immigrants coming left and right is because we had too many alphabet channels in our country fucking up other countries for their own greedy, what is it? Their own desires for crude oil and other resources that I'm not going to get into. It's not a laundry list of greed. But when we as Americans become honest, that gives us integrity. That gives us honor, that we are honest about what we have done and how far the fuckery went. And it harmed some of our great presidents, by the way. Okay? It put them in harm's way. I don't think I need to actually spell it out for you guys. Okay? And something is going on with Trump where that man's being attacked, clearly. And there's something wrong here. I mean, you don't have to be a psychic to figure out something's off. So, to be honest, what I will say is if Kamala wins, and I will say this, and I don't really care if I lose view, I really don't care. Because if you can't figure out that Kamala is the worst thing that we could vote on, that's what I'm saying. If you want a woman, that's what you're about, is a feminine entity. Well, at least with Jill Stein, I know she's got compassion. She's actually fighting she's making phone calls to stop capital punishments on two men. There's another man that's coming up on October 17th. I mentioned it before, Robert Robertson. She has made those phone calls to stop those from happening. She is against Geno, as she should be. She's against sending all of our resource art, all of our monies out when we have homeless veterans. Homeless veterans. We should be ashamed. We shouldn't have the word homeless and veteran attached together. So don't tell me about making America great again when that happened, and it's been happening since the Vietnam War. So I don't want to hear that shit. That doesn't make America great when we have homeless veterans. Okay? Like stop it. Either you're a patriot or you're a fool. It's that simple. Any other questions or comments? So let me see. Embrace your emperor. Okay, whatever. I don't know what she's talking about. Anyway, so here, let's do her a favor, because I really have to be okay. Here's the thing. This is a good teaching a moment for all of us. What we're going to learn is when you have people, right, who don't listen, or you're trying to convince them of X, Y, and Z, right? Block them, because you're not going to get them to hear what you have to say. You're not here convincing anyone, right? Anyone, excuse me, I moved the art piece around. You're not going to be able to convince anyone, here, let's do this, of what you're going to say, whether it's about reincarnation, whether it's about spirituality, whether it's about anything at all. Have I told you that I love you today? No, but I love you more. I love you more. Most Americans. Okay, so what I need to share with you is to give you, and in fact, I'm going to have a special guest that is going to come on soon. In fact, we're going to have a few lives. One's going to be on homelessness, and we're going to talk about that, and the subtle psychology of how homelessness is impacting not just, God bless their souls, homeless people as it rains, as it gets colder all over the country, but also how it impacts you on your ascension, believe it or not. So we're going to have a live on that soon. I'm hoping next week. We're also going to have another live with one very special person who's going to be talking with me about how to find your voice. Okay? And it's not difficult, my loves. You have it in you. You have these conversations with yourself in the shower. You have these conversations with your girlfriends or guy friends. You're having these conversations. It's pillow talk. It's just imagine you're talking to your best friend, and close your eyes and talk about what you think can help us get out of this shit show called 2024 and literally sneaking into 2025. There are a lot of psychics that are prophesizing some pretty dark shit. And what's interesting about these oracles, these psychics that prophesize dark shit, let me explain something that I think you might not know. There are some things in life that are set in stone. There's no doubt, okay? Like the day you're going to die, it's set in stone. You might have a couple portals where you can actually come back, like you have a heart attack, they bring you back, and 3 months later you're gone, or whatever, right? But there's some things that are not set in stone. It's kind of like a GPS. I use that example a lot. So the GPS on your phone says there's an accident ahead. Would you like to reroute? And you have a choice. Sometimes you do reroute. Sometimes, shit, I don't care. I'll just keep it on the road. And you get to the accident, supposedly, and it's gone. It's completely gone. But sometimes you reroute. And the rerouting is giving you a different perception, a different scenery. Because now you're no longer on the freeway. You're now on the back roads, the country roads. And maybe you come across a fruit stand and you buy fruit. And you have a good time with your family or your friend or alone. and you get a phone call. And you're able to get the phone call because you're not in mass traffic. You're able to focus because you're not in your car. And this phone call is an opportunity for something else. So similarly, when you have psychics telling you of doomsday prophecies, it is in the Akashic. It is written there. But there are other prophecies that are also part of the story. And what we choose is what we choose collectively. So if we choose the apocalyptic story, then as a collective, we will bring it about using the egregore energy, right? But if we use, like if we decide to co-create something brand new with the universe, the Akashic records the keepers will drop in light codes that will show us the path to another way. In other words, do you want to reroute this train wreck? Yes, I do. I fucking want to reroute this. Perfect. And then you're rerouted into another opportunity, another story, another reality. And what's interesting is that we saw that in today's reading, in this tarot reading I did. We saw that what we think is doomsday, an impossible situation, we can actually completely excavate ourselves out of this shit and move it to what we all want, which is the new earth, the 5D, a new type of leadership. And when I mean leadership, again, this is my third time repeating myself on that, and please, I apologize, but I don't see leaders in suits. I see shamanic type humans that are very wise and very generous. And we've seen I think there was a president, I forgot where, I think it might have been Germany, but I might be completely wrong. But I know there were 2 presidents in 2 foreign countries, both of them, I believe one in South America and one in Europe. And both of them either took no salary, or I think one of them took no salary and the other one took a very, no salary and one very small salary. Just very small, just enough to live, just to live humbly. These are real leaders because they want to make sure that all the resources are for everyone across the board. And that's the problem with our system. Lobbyists, greed, okay, that are legally bribing our senators. Legally, it's a legal bribe. And that is not leadership. These are just figureheads that claim they speak for us and they don't. So the kind of leaders I'm looking, so we have archetypal examples, literally in the 21st century, of people that either took no salary or took a half a salary, and they were very humble and they were there for their people. And that's something we need to look at. We need to actually reframe the way we see what does leadership mean. And so for me, they look like shamans, druids, druidesses, people who take the responsibility of guiding a population with integrity, honor, love, loyalty, and generosity, and massive empathy. If we had leaders like that, there would be absolutely no wars. That would never be the final answer or an abrupt answer. And we're being led by people that have massive emotional issues. I'm not joking. So imagine, here you are kicking yourself in the ass going, well, I'm not healed. You think you're not healed? Let me ask you this. If you were in power, would you be so quick to do what we've seen the last 4 years, 5 years? Would you have done any of this? I'm not joking. You don't need to be, I don't care if you have an 8th grade education. Would you have done this? So the people in power clearly have some emotional problems. And all I can say is that we've normalized it. That's why the term Make America Great, MAGA or MAGA, is kind of a dangerous, because I don't want to go back. I don't know about you. It's kind of like when you divorce a husband or a wife, or when you decide you want to save the marriage. Why would you want to save that marriage? For what? It's a fucking toxic marriage. That's why you're about to divorce, or you divorce. You want to create a brand new marriage on a brand new foundation based on brand new understandings. And so this idea of going back, it's not the way. We have to go forward. We have to co-create something brand new, fresh. We have to originate new ideas. We have to have an utopian mindset. You know, when they say, ask for the most So if you wanted to manifest $500,000 a year and you get $250,000, that's not a bad bet. You did pretty damn good from making, I don't know, 70, 80,000 a year. So now instead of, I know you were manifesting $500,000, but you got $250,000 a year now. Wow. So if we go all the way up to the highest ideals of the kind of society we want, and we only get, say, 75% of that visualization, we're still fucking winning. And so that's why we have to ask with absolutely no restraints. You know what I mean? The list for power and greed can corrupt those who are not awakened. I agree. People who value soul, life force, health over everything, money cannot sway them. Money cannot sway them. Do you understand? And money will not sway them. Because what happens is that there are people, in fact, there was a guy that was actually bribed $20 million and he refused it. And he went public. And I think that was like 3 years ago. Okay? There's a young kid that's been very pro-Palestine. He's a young curly-head kid. He's got the face of a Botticelli angel. He was bribed $5,000. How many other content creators took the 5Gs? But he actually he actually showed the email where they were going to offer him. And the fact that 5Gs, what am I going to do with 5Gs? Are you kidding? They didn't know how to bribe, but they were bribing him to be pro the other group. Okay? And he refused, and he showed the email. So we have a lot of content creators who are on the payroll, mark my word. And they are being used because of the numbers of their followers, and unfortunately they're doing what they're paid to do, and there's no integrity. So your discernment is going to be really important. That's why we need you to come out of the gates with your voices or whatever creation, however you want to communicate your original thoughts or downloads, or even things that inspired you from a book, from a talk, from an essay, whatever, however, about the changes that we all want on the collective level. Does that make sense? That's why more of you, in fact, we're better off with 100,000 of us with a small following of 5 to 10,000 than maybe 5 followers with each of them having 500,000 followers. Because we're going to spread the seeds across the planet. If 100,000 of us, actually 144,000 of us, that number should really trigger you, actually all came out at once, we would drown the voices of those who have been bribed, who have higher numbers of followers. Why? Because more of us would spread and we would come into people's algorithms, in their FYPs. More, because more of us would be doing it. Does that make sense? And we have to think strategically. And if you keep thinking that you're not ready, you're not good enough, this apathy is self-harming, not just to me, to you, but to me and to the collective. Does that make sense? So I had given an analogy last year of the Pony Express, right? And I've always told you guys that I'm the Pony Express. All of you should be the Pony Express. So I'm going to give you this analogy. So God, because we're going to say that, God has given me messages, letters, and each envelope has the name of the person I'm supposed to deliver the messages for. I didn't write the letters, nor should I open the letters to see what the messages are. But my job is to go full force on my horse and ride the messages out, scattering the messages all over the world. Similarly, you would never say to someone, to God, well, wait, hang on, you're giving me these messages, but I'm not ready. Like, if you were expecting a letter from me and I said, well, I'm not ready, you'd be mad as hell. You'd be like, wait, hang on, what do you mean you're not ready? That's your job. You were born to be a Pony Express. You're supposed to deliver my mail, my messages. What do you mean you're not ready? But essentially, that's exactly what you're doing to people who have not heard your messages. It's exactly what you're doing. You've decided long ago that you don't matter, or that you're not ready, or you want to clean up your closet, or when you get a new job, or that's all bullshit. That's apathy, and there's a massive tinge of cowardice. You are actually diluting your power. And when you talk, or how you sing, or how you write your poetry, however you're going to communicate this, however it is, because everyone's got a different job, right? But many of you know how to create content better than I could, and you're not doing it. And you have to be smart about how you do it so that you stay thriving on your channels. But you're going to have to get your head out of your ass, no offense, and start creating. And create with passion. You know, maybe have some notes, but to be honest with you, I started this live not knowing what I was going to talk about, but I knew I needed to do a live. Just start. Just do something. But apathy is going to not only kill your dreams, but mine, my sons, your children, if you have them, the people you love, the entire planet. So the sooner you can speak from your heart, the sooner others will hear you with similar messages, the sooner you encourage others to speak these messages, and we will actually light a fire across this planet where the 1% will never, ever hold our throats with their tight fists like they've done for at least 2,000 years. At least, if not 3,000. You know what I mean? And that's something that you're going to have to, like, figure out. It's time. Yes. Okay, let me read your... Angie, thank God. Let me see. It would be easier to choose if we could put forward leaders that actually operated with integrity. That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. What's going to happen is we got to do energy work. We have to visualize. We have to speak and speak and speak until these leaders are literally ran off their posts. And it will be happening as we bring one leader at a time that has integrity. I'm really actually quite excited with Tulsi Gabbard. I'm really excited that Kennedy may not be the best husband. Let's not lie, okay? He's definitely not the best husband, but he sure in the fuck cares about the environment and the American people. You got to give him, like, he can't be everything to everyone, okay? Okay, there are some people that are fantastic fathers, but they suck at being husbands. There are some people that are amazing go-getter females, but they're horrible mothers. Let's just realize that we're not going to walk on water. We can't. We're human beings having the human experience. Okay? So if you're going to wait, we cannot wait. That's why it's important to repost every spiritual message that comes across your FYP. Exactly. If you feel that you have a purpose, step into it. It is time. Yes, yes. It's time. Exactly. Does that make sense? So, look, I've got 16 people. If I was talking about, is Jody in love with you? I'd have 56 people. Do you see the consciousness of people? Until we are no longer, we stop being arrogant and selfish. Once we realize that we can't live a full thriving life, and I've explained it in multiple lives. I've like broken down why the masculine is running, why the masculine quite often can be in union with its feminine counterpart, because money makes the average 3D, 4D man, if he doesn't have money, he feels like he's nothing. Okay? We've got geeks like, Zuckerberg and Bill Gates, who are billionaires. Billion fucking heirs. You couldn't put a pew-pew to my head and make me couple with either of them. Okay? Just saying. So, you and I both know, right? We both know that it has nothing to do with money. We want a masculine that makes us feel safe, loved, valued, cherished. And it doesn't matter. But the problem is that for centuries, money has been used very successfully to castrate the powers of the masculine. It's basically the truth. So this particular system we live under is not sustaining us thriving and ascending and being in divine union with our divine counterpart. It's not set up to do it. Haven't you noticed? It's set up to make sure that families are broken down. That there is, I love how they kept, I remember when I was in my late 20s hearing family values, what family values? Do you know when I worked in Macy's, how many pregnant women worked until the very last moment and tried to come back finding out that they had lost their job because there was no job security? There is no family values. It's all of these things we're going to have to claim. And so when we ascend as a people, the frequency that we magnify across the planet in our country, in America, is going to be so powerful that it will not be able to connect with the frequency of greed, which is 3D dimensional, right? Frequency. In other words, we will not be a match and these people will disappear. And I'm not saying some kumbaya bullshit. You see it in your own life. When you ascend, you're going from 4D to 5D, 4D to 5D, you notice you're losing friends. It's not because you've changed. It's because your frequency, I mean, you have changed, but it's your frequency is so bothersome to them that it's not a match. We're seeing it on a microcosm. We can do it in a macro, which means we can enlarge that with our leaders so that our leaders just aren't a frequency match to us because we outrank them in power in the frequency we push out. And eventually they will no longer be able to lead anything. They will no longer be part of our reality because we will be a greater influence to those who are still in 3D. That's why people like Candace Owens, Andrew Tate, they're doing their bit. They might not believe in any of what you and I believe in, but they are definitely discussing the fuckery that is reaching people who are definitely densely clinging to their 3D beliefs. Does that make sense? And so they're being awakened to the fuckery. It starts there. In terms of spirituality, that's for them, that's another show. But they're being awakened. Meanwhile, people like us have to raise the bar, raise the frequency so that little by little, one senator at a time are replaced with the wise ones. You know what I mean? Instead of calling them the wise ones, the ones that really put everything above, aside, their own needs are put aside for us, the wise ones. Right? And this may sound very Pollyanna, but to be honest, do you really want to continue this? Because I know I'm not. So that's why we have to push. So it's funny how they kept talking about the 144, right? 144,000. And that is a true number. And it's 144 perpetually for twin flames. But there are a lot of volunteers that encompass that number as well. I'm one of them. Why? Because my twin is no longer on this planet. That doesn't mean that I'm not in a twin relationship, but it means that now the space left by the absence of my twin, some other twin out there either came back into union or just met. The number never drops. Does that make sense? So when 144,000 of us go out there and do our bit, and then there are others from a different level of connection with their own mission as volunteers do this in droves, in massive numbers. They're showing me an MMA fight, which I never watched, which is the weirdest thing. But so it's like when you are hitting someone, right? And you are smaller than them, you better keep hitting them until they don't get up. So in a way, and believe me, I'm not promoting violence. I don't know why the fuck I'm not into wrestling at all. So I don't know where that came from. But they're showing me another scene. I don't know if you saw it. I did repost it. It was a girl who was being hit by her boyfriend, and she kicked him. She did a roundhouse. She kicked him once and he did not get up. She didn't stop until he did not get up. And so in a way, energetically, we have to keep pulsing that energy again and again and again and again and again until they can't even breathe. Because we are outlasting the 1%. Does that make sense? And we're doing it using energy, social media, talks, speech, essays, videos, whatever, however. And we don't stop. We're not relenting. It keeps coming at them until they can't even catch their breath, until they stop. And the whole thing implodes. Does that make sense? Let me see that it would be, okay, sorry. We must lay all the cards on the table before we can wipe the slate clean and rebuild. Exactly. The destruction of the family unit is part of the deception. There are a lot of people who have awakened. They long to move past the generic, shallow, dogmatic ideas of spirituality. So do I. I hate fucking New Age. I hate the term. And when you look at the people, I keep repeating myself, I apologize, but when you keep looking at the people who actually first constructed the term New Age, and you look into their eyes, like Blavatsky and, what's his name? Oh, fuck. Aleister Crowley. There are people pushing Aleister Crowley. There are people pushing the Thoth tarot cards. Thoth. Thoth. Okay? And now you connect Thoth with the Emerald Tablet, and it's not a bad thing. It's actually a very good thing. But the problem is that Aleister Crowley created this tarot card that has a certain type of New Agers pushing and pushing it. Every spiritualist who thinks like we do, meaning generous of heart, has been attracted and repulsed by that deck. For example, there's certain tools, spiritual tools, that you have to really listen to your heart. And you will be fascinated by it, but then repulsed by it. Trust those instincts. Trust them. Do not go against what you feel. Do not get influenced by a spiritualist who you feel, well, I mean, this person has like 80,000 viewers or followers or 500,000 followers. Maybe they have something. Don't go against your shit at all. Do not. I don't care who they are. But there are certain things that they're pushing, and I'm worried. I'm like, wait a minute. Side eye. Why are they attracted to something that pretty much all the people I've spoken to is repulsed by it? You know what I mean? So, that's why we need you. Because there are a lot of New Agers that are really, no offense, you know them. You saw Twin Flame Universe. Toxic as fuck. And there are a lot of content creators today who came out of Twin Flame Universe, spewing a lot of shit, a lot of garbage. So be careful. Ask them, where did you learn blah, 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 right? Where did you learn this? And then there were the original people. Again, I keep mentioning Mel Brand and Reggie. Unfortunately, Reggie's in separation with his twin flame. Well, they're flames. It's no wonder. But Reggie, when him and, I forgot her name, to be honest, but Reggie is an amazing coach, and he's also a psychologist, PhD, the whole thing, right? And he's not crazy. He knows this shit's not crazy. He knows this is real. I mean, for Christ, I've had a few psychologists confirm that this is not crazy, and yet people still think it's crazy. There are a lot of New Agers. There's a couple, I'm not going to mention, I'm not even going to say what they look like, who have been saying this is all made up shit, that this is all, the Twin Flames is a New Age thing, which is complete bullshit. And we know it's not. Why do we know? Well, because we've had past lives with our twins on other planets. We've had past lives with our twins in one of my past lives with my twin on this planet was about 3,500 years ago. How in the fuck is that New Age? It's not New Age at all. And I've had past lives with my twin on other planets. And Plato talked about it. He wasn't trying to hustle anyone. He didn't give a shit. He talked about a lot of things. Plato's Parable of the Caves is one of the, I always bring it up because it blows my mind that this is a man who, I mean, how exposed was he to the concept of collective fear? So I feel like part of some of the things he was writing were downloads, right? So there are a lot of New Agers who swagger their arrogance as if they know everything. And to be honest with you, they're spewing a lot of toxic shit under the banner of New Age. And you might say, well, there's a lot of good things they say. And I'd say, yes, that's right. There are a lot of good things they say. There's a lot of good things they say. So there's an old black saying, eat the fish and throw away the bones. There are a lot of good things Andrew Tate says. Sorry if that triggers you. There's a lot of good things Candace Owens says. There's a lot of good things Trump has said. There's a lot of good things Jill Stein has said. Teal Swan. I could go on and on. I haven't heard one good thing Kamala has said, which is kind of shocking because it goes against my idea that even an asshole has a grain of rice to share. It's kind of shocking. But in her case, I haven't heard one good thing. Not one. I'm sorry. Reggie being in separation just lends an example of the truth behind it. Yes, absolutely. Always be authentic to yourself. The more authentic you are, the more people will resonate with truth. Absolutely. And I lose followers all the time. You don't think I lose followers about my pro-Palestinian stance? I've lost my aunt. I've lost my brother on multiple things. But the minute he realized that I was like leaning towards Trump, he flipped the fuck out instead of listening to the logic. But I wouldn't have flipped out on him with Kamala. I would have said, what's wrong with you? Is there something wrong with you? Like, why would you vote for someone who hasn't articulated a plan at all and who's taken every fucking dime we have left? I hope to God we have some money left. And who has started a war, right, where every other American president has called up the PMs of that blue and white team, Israel, and said, hey, stop your shit or we're not sending you another dime. From Bush, not a fan of Bush, Papa Bush and Baby Bush, both of these Bushes, both of them have gotten on the phone saying, stop your shit. Reagan, stop your shit. Clinton, stop your shit. All of them. Obama, stop your shit, or we're not sending you a fucking dime. So this shit could have been ended a week into it. Maybe a month, but not a fucking year and a handful of days. Are you fucking kidding me? So the leadership that we have is clearly toxic as fuck and gaslighting us. Okay? It's really simple. It doesn't take a psychic to figure out that if this continues, we're going into the darkest nights you can imagine. It doesn't take a psychic. And that's not me saying anything apocalyptic. It's just 2 + 2 = 4. And Ukraine getting fed our money, your money, my friends, and sending it so they can pick a fight with Russia, the bear. Are they fucking crazy? And who's going to take the slack? We are. And we need to wake the fuck up. Because none of that should happen. Oh, well, they want to make money. They want to make money. We need money. So, wars make money. Yeah, really? There are a lot of ways to make money. And the polarity that's been accepted by the spiritual New Age movement that has a lot of toxicity in its ranks about this acceptance that war is an acceptable polarity. That is the only way to make money. Is something that is very dark, dusty, and rank. And you know it. And we need to spread that message across the world. We need 144,000 out of the 16 that's on this live right now. All of you should be creating content. 15, we're down to 15 because I'm saying things that they don't want to hear. But they don't want to hear it because why? Because they're afraid of a truth that's in their face. I know that if Jill Stein came into power, that shit would be over overnight. The only problem I have is that, I'm going to be honest, I think she's a lovely woman. I think her heart is definitely there. But I think that some of these leaders are so corrupt and so narcissistic that she doesn't know how to manipulate their minds. Because she's straight up front. She's not a warrior. She will not know how to manipulate them. She will be actually under their thumb. Not voluntarily, obviously, but she won't be able to understand how to manipulate them or scare them into submission, which in some levels, yeah, you have to use some tactics. I'm sorry. That's the reality with these kind of leaders. With normal leaders, like the galactic leaders, the Federation of the Galactic Systems, of all these different sentient beings, different tribes, of races from other planets, there's no manipulation. No one can do it because they're all fucking telepathic. Everyone knows if you're full of shit. Okay? That's why the last time they met with the Draconians, that was the last time they'll ever meet physically with the Draconians. Does that make sense? They're not to be trusted. So it's, we got to kind of use our noodles, and it's like toggling. And what's uncomfortable for the average 3D'er is you've got to toggle between 3D and 560. 3D, that's what Angie does. That's what I do. That's what a lot of you do, right? But it's uncomfortable for a 3D'er that's just, yes, MAGA, or yes, Jill Star, or yes, Kamala, instead of really looking at the subtleties that we all remember as star seeds. Am I correct, Angie? To me, you can only play with the opponents if you use their tricks on them. A fine line. It's a very fine line. Thank you, Nali. Thinking back my whole life, people have said I look familiar. If the government was our partner treating us this way, we would run. I believe a lot of the good ones get threatened. I think a lot of the good ones, like, I feel like, look, I remember right before Kennedy conceded to Trump, okay, I'll join your team. He was, I think it was either the Massachusetts courts or Philadelphia courts. Angie, you probably know better than me. And here he was in the morning. It was around 10 a.m. in the morning. And he was saying, yeah, I'm going to this court. They're trying to prevent me. They're suing me for ballot, this, that. I forgot what the hell it was. And then he said, and I'm flying out to another state to do this. And by about 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, he basically joined forces with Trump. Why? Because he knew they were going to get him from court to court to court to court all over this country, and they were going to drain his fucking money in fighting their bullshit. So he made some calls. He called the Democratic Party. They said no because they're arrogant pieces of shit. And then he called Trump, to be honest. That's exactly what he said. And Trump said, yeah, let's do it. Let's talk. And they've been friends, by the way. And that's exactly right. Thank you. Exactly on point, Angie says. Exactly. That's what they were going to fucking, he was never going to win that. They were going to play with him and his cash. So he had to join forces. And if you look at Tulsi Gabbard, who's been in Iraq and Afghanistan as a lieutenant, by the way, on a side note, and I think, hang on, let me see how public this is. Forget it. I'll tell you guys privately. But I know she's a devout. She believes in God on a spiritual level of believing in reincarnation. I'll say no more. That's a lot. For a warrior, high priestess to walk into the White House, that's a backdoor blessing for all of us. Let me just say, she believes what you and I believe in. She believes in our shit. She would actually flip into this conversation with absolute ease, but she can't make it too public because you know why. You know why. It's the ones wearing their MAGA hats instead of the Maha hats. Maha, I'll get the Maha hat. But the MAGA, no, we're not going back. We're going forward, okay? So that's my philosophy. Anything you want to add, Angie? Let me see. You're absolutely on point. We are capable of telepathy. Find a friend and start practicing. Absolutely. To me, okay. So that's where we're at. There's no other way. I think that in the next, well, what happens in November is going to determine, for many of us, what happens in November is going to determine for many of us where we're going to live. Now, for me, it doesn't matter who wins. I've made the decision, and I had made the decision like 2-3 years ago, by the way, just so you guys know, that I was not going to stay here. I thought my twin would live another 2-3 years, to be honest. So it made sense, but there's nothing that keeps me here. So I'm going back to Europe, okay? And it has nothing to do with here or there. But let me put it this way. What's been going on in the last year and how they've been doing what they've been doing to these people and how they're trying to start a war with Russia, Ukraine. I mean, it's fucking insane shit. And but what really bothers me is the amount of money that has been sent to a failing country. Meanwhile, you should watch my posts. A lot of Zionists are leaving the country. Okay, they're leaving. And they're going to spread themselves all over, right? And because, I mean, they're terrified. Some of them are actually leaving because they don't believe in what their government is doing, to be fair to them. A lot of them are not Zionists, okay? A lot of them have been thrown in jail and tortured for going against Bibi and his bullshit. There are young, beautiful 18-year-olds, men and women, young kids, babies, okay, who have said, I don't want to be part of the IOS. I'm not doing this shit. And they're in jail, Okay? So it's not like no one knows what's going on. But what is really harmful is that Kamala recently did an interview. I reposted it, where no, it was a speech where she proudly, I don't know what she was trying to prove, that she's seen all the tunnels. It's on video. It's not hearsay. It's not a quote. It's not AI. It's her saying, I've seen the tunnels, the walls as smooth as your living rooms, quote unquote. So, Kamala, you saw the tunnels, but it never occurred to you to, I don't know, flood the tunnels, look for people in the tunnels, cement the tunnels. I mean, I don't know. Somehow do something with the tunnels, put alarms, cameras in the tunnels, catch the people who, find out who built the tunnels. I mean, tunnels like that don't just build themselves. You need architects. You need constructions. You need workers. Where the hell are these people? Why isn't anyone speaking out about it? It's interesting to me. And this is normalized. Like she talks about it like, you know, a day in the life. Like, yeah, by the way, I need 2 gallons of milk and some eggs. So we're in a very actually exciting time. This is like, just remember, you chose to be here, believe it or not. You might resent me for saying that, and God bless you. I don't mean to trigger you. You chose to be here. You chose to be here. That means that you have a mission here in this particular timeline. You could have been born in 1923, enjoyed the fun, the sex, the this, the that, and passed away clueless of this bullshit. But instead you were born at this, and here you are. And so clearly you're here for a mission, or else you wouldn't be half awake or awake. But the thing about being awake is that the bitch of it, the double-edged sword, is if you don't do your mission, and it's not, you have free will, don't get me wrong, but if you don't do your mission and you pass, you know, you drop your body, you meet with your guide, and then the Galactic Council, and then you meet with your tribe, soul tribe, you're gonna feel like a kind of like an asshole. You're gonna go, fuck, you know, I could have. Why was I so afraid? What was wrong with me? What was I so afraid? And you're gonna feel like, damn, and you're gonna want to do another try in this. By that time, it'll be a Mad Max planet if this continues. I'm just being honest. And you're going to want another try. There are also spiritualists talking about that we only have 7 more years. Don't think it's apocalyptic, please. When they say that, they don't know that, but I know that. Why do I know that? I really actually don't know why I know that, but I feel very calm about this. Is in this next 7 years, everything you know as being so fucked up you can't even stand it anymore will end. So one of the conversations I've heard all over the New Age bulletin boards of the apocalyptic minds is that many of your children will not be able to go to school. Well, no shit. If this fucking system this corrupt system collapses, then you'll homeschool, or you'll school your children with other people's children on your own. Thank God. You'll do what Plato did with his students. You'll be out in the country, enjoying the sun, and reading from books, and talking about philosophy and poetry, and science, and whatever, geometry, things of that nature. Why is that a bad thing? It's not a bad thing. And we will be on such a high frequency that everything we need will be provided by the way we think and how we can control our monkey mind to co-create with a lot more ease. That's what I see. So a lot of the apocalyptic New Agers, you may want to, shut them off for a while. The Earth will be here longer than humans. Humans will leave on their own, exactly like other planets. Only the bravest souls came here to usher in the evolution of humanity. We chose to be here at this time. Kamala, that was the stupidest thing she could have said. I agree. But she did. They all signed NDAs. People are starting to speak out. That's good. You don't want your children in these indoctrination camps anyway. I've had thought that schools will be used as camps in the future. You mean summer camps? Or I'm hoping... I honestly... unless it's a Montessori type of system or Rudolf Steiner, like Rudolf Steiner schools. I don't see why these schools should exist. Some of these schools look like jails, in my opinion. It's disgraceful what they do. And they do it by design. It's on purpose, because if you look at schools and public schools that are in more affluent areas, they have beautiful paint, they have beautiful curves. It's by design to make some of these schools in lower income environments look like jails. It's almost like they're training kids to be in jails. And every time certain races of people have decided, let's take our kids from this system and let's educate them on our own, they have excelled. So clearly the environment built in public schools in lower income sectors are done purposely to strip intelligence, creativity, self-worth, and self-confidence from certain populations in this country by design. Concentration, gotcha. I've had, concentration. Well, they won't be here for much longer. I just have to say they will not be here much longer. So that's what we need to work on, and we need to have the confidence to create more content, right? Or to do lives. And so I guess my question to you is, if you can see everyone on this live, right? Why don't you follow each other? And why don't you make it a point to share through direct messaging your lives? You say, hey, I just uploaded something. I love your feedback. In fact, if you like it, could you share it? Can you know what I mean? And we could also constructively critique. What is constructive critique? I really like that, but I didn't think this was powerful enough. If I were you, I would have changed that to X, Y, and Z. Maybe do another content where you say, this is my, X, Y, and Z. So for example, when I was in literature, lit class, right? Creative English, I remember the professor said, yeah, you can critique everyone. And I raised my hand and said, can I just please invite us all if you're going to critique, that you actually have written down an alternative example of what would be better. Because putting someone's writing down is easy, but coming up with something better is not. And that shut my professor down, and it actually created a culture where critiquing was not enough. You had to come up with a solution. It became the norm. So if we're going to critique each other, we need to say, have you thought of doing it this way? That's what I was thinking. I think you were on the right track, but then you veered off. Why did you veer off? And this is what I would have said, and that would have been a stronger way to say it or show it or whatever. Okay? I invite us to do that with each other because that's going to refine your message at a quicker pace. If you're willing. If you're not willing, that's cool too. And you can say, no, I'm not willing. I want to do this on my own. And I will connect with my spirit guides on my content. I respect that too, right? But let's help each other get going, is my point. They literally take genius children and program them to no longer be geniuses. Yeah. They strip away their intelligence. And there's this idea that IQ tests actually show intelligence. Well, it doesn't, because there's different types of IQ tests. How do I know that? Well, because I actually had an attorney who had a whole litany of assistants, and he had a law firm in San Marino, California, where he would actually fight for parents to demand different types of IQ, nonverbal IQ tests, creative IQ tests, different IQ tests, not the standard shit that is going to show intelligence on for one kid, and on another kid, the kid looks stupid. And if you give this kid who looks dumb a different kind of IQ, that IQ suddenly goes up. And if you give that IQ test to the kid who suddenly is supposedly a genius, that kid doesn't come out so good, or he does, or she does. So IQ tests are a way to control people to never think. So one of these psychologists and I forgot their name. This was like 24 years ago. And I remember listening to psychologists who said, it was a man, and he'd written a book on how to change American education. And he said the problem with 5-year-olds, it's not the 5-year-olds that are the problem, that are like, jumping up and down, this and that. But once one teacher says, Billy has a problem concentrating. Now he's in first grade. And it continues. Billy has a problem concentrating. Now Billy's 10. Billy has ADHD. Now Billy is 13 going into puberty. Billy is defiant. In other words, the minute a teacher is writing down their idea of the personality of this child. Now, let's be honest. This is a teacher. Okay, let's not put all teachers on a pedestal. That's bullshit. But this teacher could hate Billy's mom. Could have a thing for Billy and not like Billy. It could be a soul problem. Maybe some kind of, karma. But the point is, the minute the teacher has written down her feelings about Billy, which are negative, right? Suddenly that follows him, and every teacher starts reiterating that Billy is a problem until Billy's 14, 15 years and doesn't give a fuck about school. Because Billy feels not seen, disrespected, looked down upon, denigrated, and bullied undercover, sometimes overtly or covertly by teachers. Don't think that shit doesn't happen, because it does. And that's the problem with allowing these files to go from one grade to another to another. It's unfair. And it's incorrect. It's incorrect. Because what's funny is the psychologist said, and so we took kids who had gone through that, and the minute, don't get mad at me when I say that. You've seen how dogs and horses have been told, oh yeah, it's a vicious horse, it's a vicious dog. And suddenly the right person comes in and the dog's fucking just licking off their hand. The horse is completely laying down their head on their lap. There's no difference for human beings. So the minute that another teacher literally praises, oh my God, Billy, you're so smart. My God, Billy, math is your thing, man. Well, I keep failing. No, baby, math is your... And suddenly Billy starts believing that math is his thing. And guess what? That becomes Billy's reality. All from one psychologist. And if you look at it with animals, we know, we've seen it, on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. We've seen that. Oh, they were going to take the horse to an abattoir, meaning they were going to, send him to the butcher. And suddenly that horse is like fucking honey and milk. So I think the system is corrupt beyond, and you've got a lot of teachers and a lot of principals and superintendents who are full of shit. They are bullies, inherently bullies, and out of that comes these amazing educators. This is the difference. Educators who love kids, who cry for kids, who fight at IEPs for kids, who've been fired because they were honest with the parents of what the kid needed. Fired. And we see that again and again. They're out there. Amazing people. They've made movies about these amazing educators. And a lot of these teachers are they're fucked up. I remember going to high school. I was in a private high school. And, what I mean by that is from the age of 14 to 17, I saw grown-ass women, teachers, and males having intimate connections with students, and it was completely corrupted. It was completely inappropriate. Okay? And guess who was getting the good grades? And this is not uncommon. And I think we've forgotten, I don't know where our minds are at, but we keep acting like this is all new. None of this shit's new. It's just coming to the light. But that's why I think for many of our children, many of our starseed children, they actually will thrive under a homeschooling situation. They cannot go into those systems. It's so corrupted. Their whole body rebels, inherently rebels. They can't, and they're not going to do well. They're not going to do well. You're going to be at the principal's office more often than the kids in class. Let me look at your comments because they're really important to me. I'm going to read them all. Let me see where do we live. I've had thought that schools will be used as campus in the future concentration. They literally take genius children and program them to no longer be genius. I love that. 4.4 likes. A lot of times I need people to ask me questions in order for my channeling to through me. Yes, I give those for a living and would love to do a live with you on that. I would love to do that, Cosmic Canary. I'm not joking. Let's do that. They're labeled. Exactly. That's the word, labeled. The same thing happens with medical records. Yes, it does. So true. This is 100%. I live it. Fought so many teachers I know would never put a kid in the school system. Yes, it is designed to dull their light. It's actually designed to lobotomize their light. You're so kind. No, it's a lobotomization of their light, in my opinion. And I think that we need to stop putting a lot of these people on pedestals. There are amazing, amazing physicians. They're out there. The physician that did the biopsy on my twin, if my twin had had any of these assholes come up to him with arrogance, swaggering, I know everything, I'm God, he would have told him to fuck off and we would have never known what was wrong with him. He would have never done the biopsy. This guy came to him humbled. Probably, and I looked up how much these neurologists in New York make. And this guy was definitely clocking 1.5 million a year, okay? And didn't need to come and see my twin. But guess what? I demanded it. And he understood my grief, right? He understood. He heard through the grapevine how much I loved him, how much we loved each other. So he came to speak to him. And he didn't come once. He came 4 times. He was incredible. I've had teachers that were incredible for myself personally and for my son. But I've also seen teachers bully and teachers set kids up to be bullied, allow the bullying to happen right in front of the classroom. And so when a parent comes in and the kid's saying, mommy, she's allowing the kids to bully me in front of the other, kids. Well, the average parent's going to say, Billy, you're lying. I mean, no adult would do that. And there are a lot of adults that would do that. They have a bully mob mentality and they're fucked up. They have mental problems. A lot of them have mental problems. And I'm sorry, not everyone is an educator. There are a lot of teachers, but not all of them are educators. I think we need to use code words with each other. You know what I mean? But Cosmic Canary, hit me up on my phone. Text me so we can actually have a live where you talk about it. Certain curriculums they push. It's true. Yeah, they push a certain let me put it that way. If you're not going to teach religion, which I don't think any one religion should be taught, right? At all. But if you're not going to teach religion, which that's the case, then teach philosophy. Teach philosophy. Why? Because from philosophy, you talk about evil and good, right and wrong, honor, integrity, discipline, right? You talk about moral values in philosophy, right? But when I went to Hong Kong, I went to school. I was 14 years old. I went to a school. It was called a International Lutheran School in Hong Kong, and in there we had classes on religion, Christian religion, obviously Lutheran, and we also had classes on Buddhism. It's China, of course. It's Buddhism. It was Buddhism, right? I didn't learn Taoism until I went to college, which would have been definite Chinese culture. But Buddhism was taught. But Taoism was not, okay, in that particular school. But at least we had Buddhism, is my point. And we had Christian religion that were taught simultaneously. We had one class, and then we'd every other day we'd have a different class. And we go to chapel, believe it or not, which I couldn't stand it. But the thing is, at least there were 2 religions being taught, an Eastern and a Western, right? And I have a problem with them pushing that every school in this country is going to be taught forced the Bible. I think there's something wrong with that. And I think that if we're going to do that, then we should have the Bible, the Torah, the Quran, Buddha, the Bhagavad Gita. I'm not joking. Starting in 6th grade. I mean, that's called respect. That's called, I want to learn about who you are. In history, we should have women's studies. Okay? And we should have world history, not American history. I'll tell you why. World history, which of course includes American history. Why? Because to understand who you are as a human being and to understand how you sit to how people see you, you have to understand how they were also, what their history is. And unfortunately, that's not taught simultaneously at all. You know what I mean? Rarely. and not until late high school is European history taught, and it's taught almost like an afterthought. It's not done correctly, in my humble opinion. I don't know if things have changed, but I doubt it. It's impossible to find truth if only presented with one religious teachings. Yes, all of the history just so limited. They all hold pieces of the puzzle, but alone they are useless. Exactly. Teach the real mission of the missionaries. Yeah, it's all programming. Sounds good. Would love to. Yeah, let's do it. Yep, been arrested for calling these teachers out. Arrested? Holy fuck. I know that my son was going to the principal's office pretty every other day, because I had homeschooled him for a while, for a long time, and he would come up with things about capitalism, communism. He'd say shit that things about Native Americans in reservations, shit that just made people uncomfortable. And he'd be in the principal's office. And I'm proud of it and I'm going to be honest, I'm proud of it because it showed me that my kid was not brainwashed. Thank God. I mean, it was like constantly there. Yeah. He was constantly calling out the teachers, constantly telling them they were full of shit. I forgot what he said, but there was... And the teacher said, look, I don't need your Harvard-educated babble. And he says, look, I'm just trying to teach you how to do your job correctly because you're not teaching this class very well. And he got thrown out again. So there's a long line of succession on my mother's side, on the French side, where they all had that problem. All the boys were fucking just irreverent as fuck. And there's a saying in France called, take the door, prends la porte, which means take the fucking door, get the fuck out of my class, right? And my uncle, who was in high school, in France, literally took the door off its hinges and walked out with it. It's like just shit like that. And they were just, it's fucking rebels. Rebels. Anyway, so, but a lot of these men, by the way, on the side note, they're trying to throw them into another battle, another war, and mess them up emotionally, so they're not good for us as women. You know what I mean by that? Where they're so fucked up emotionally, they're not good for anyone. Or just annihilate their life, take their life out. That's another reason why this shit is happening. So I'm hoping that whoever gets into office, let's assume that it's not Kamala, and women out there, and you guys who actually believe Kamala is great for the country, and you've actually sat there and listened to her, and you're still coming out with that idea that she's great for the country, I can tell you with absolutely no doubt, I've listened to Jill Stein, and she is great for the country if we were at peace. And right now we're in turmoil. I think she could do a lot of good really quickly, but I'm not sure. I think Putin's fed up with our shit. And we've lost a lot of respect. If we were in a better, stronger place, like if it was like the 80s again, or maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm stupid, maybe in the 90s, she'd have a chance to do really good, some really good work. And I would like either one. We're better off with either one. But Kamala, if anyone's like listened to Kamala and still thinks she's a great leader, I'd like to see. Please, whatever you're smoking, I want some, because that kind of ignorance, I really want some of that ignorance. I really need some. Actually, I'm trying to watch funny movies, and I'm smoking pot, and I'm still not feeling the joy of being completely asleep. Like, I would love that. So whatever you guys are taking, and you're like, excited about Kamala with everything you've seen, and you really think she would really lead us into a wonderful next 4 years, I don't know. It's crazy. I know that Trump was put into he was attacked for bringing Roe versus Wade to its demise, with the fact that he brought in two judges, right, into the Supreme Court. And I would say that's probably true. We'll assume that's true. But at the end of the day, ever since Clarence Thomas died, every judge that's been put into power has been a piece of shit, starting with Clarence Thomas, okay? So, and I watched from the very day the senatorial hearing with, I forgot the chick's name, with the coke and the, the hair, on the coke. If you guys, I don't know if you guys remember, a lot of you weren't even born, but and he's a piece of shit. So we've been putting in pieces of shit in that post for a long time. So brick by brick, and I wasn't aware of it. None of us were aware of it because we're just working, going to school, trying to get our shit together, trying to fall in love, trying to trust the person we love, life. And so none of us were really paying attention. And behind our backs, they were putting one judge after another, replacing one after another to create the Roe versus Wade overturning, which was under Kamala's watch. Let's not forget. Okay? Trump had there were no VPs that were women. We had a VP that's been there since the giddy up, and she did nothing because, like many boomers, and I'm ashamed to say it, have said, I don't give a shit, I'm past I'll never get pregnant. That's the attitude of many boomers. I don't care. Not my problem anymore. I'll never get pregnant. Great. So you have to, so it's a collective fuckery that's happened. It's not just, we can't blame it on Trump and two judges. Let's get a little more intelligent about this, okay? It's a lot more. And there's been also agendas with Planned Parenthood that I had no idea were going on that have come to light. And it's pretty nefarious, okay? And again, when a woman gives birth, right? And the placenta and the umbilical cord is taken and sold for a profit, right? It's not disposed of, it's not burned, it's used for various purposes. You and I both know it should be a law that we can sell it to the hospital if we wish for $20,000 or $30,000. Do you get what I'm saying? There are laws that need to support women, single mothers who probably will be single, let's be honest, mothers who maybe need a break. Maybe they got fired from their job. That shit's still happening. Women are getting pregnant to this day and losing their jobs under some weird ass, what is the new law called? It's called, in other words, they don't have to give you any write-ups. They can fire you at will. And so if you, instead of keeping your job, a lot of people go, well, there's Parents Leave Act. Well, it's not really working, is it? Because a Parents Leave Act that works means that the government is paying you a real salary, like the people in parts of Europe enjoy. Okay, when they stay home for 90 days, 120 days, 6 months, fuck, some of these countries give you a whole year. They give you, 75% of your salary. Not bad, in my opinion. And you are guaranteed your job. Mine got diagnosed with opposition-defiant disorder. Well, and it was created because no child is born with opposition-defiant disorder. That is something that is created over time. It's created. You know what I'm saying? I mean, just go to any hospital and look at all the babies. Do they look like they have this problem? No. So what it is the kid's just fucking fed up with the bullshit. And he's probably brilliant. I wish you were my mom. I'm looking forward to RFK being in a position of power so that he can go after all the toxins. You know what, sweetie? Nilani, you have to be your own mom. You have to work on your little girl inside of you. A little boy, RFK. If Jill would get on board with Trump, all of them together makes the complete circle. Yes, but you have to understand, if Jill got on board with him now, and there's certain Midwestern, Southern states that would totally turn their back on him, and you know that. As it is, some of the things that have happened with the hurricanes is very suspect. Okay? It's very suspect. It doesn't make sense. Okay? How convenient. Okay? And now they're saying that you don't need your ID to go vote. What the fuck? Are you kidding? So anybody can vote. The last time I heard anything like that happening, I read about it. It was in the 1900s, like 1910, 1920. They would actually get people on buses, pay them, and they would go back in and vote again and again. Voter fraud. So it sounds like that fuckery is going to happen again. Biologically, a mother should stay with the child until they are 5 to 6. Absolutely. Actually, 7 even. Roe versus Wade overturned was a cocktail napkin. Good old boy moves, all about money. The corruption rolls all the way up and down the hill. Exactly. The local judge here that put my dad in jail is under FBI indictment. And they are corrupt. It's justice for hire. And hopefully you can go after what happened. Yes, my son is a savant. The teachers did not know what to do with him. I'm in Cali, not wasting my time or energy voting. If I were you, I would vote. And I've told people to vote. And vote, if you want to vote for Jill Stein, vote for Jill Stein. I'm not joking. Just vote for what you want. But I am trying to dissuade people from voting for Kamala. Because some of the comments she's made is her reality. Okay? Now, you and I both know that when Marcellus Williams was executed, Kamala and Biden could have stopped it. Okay, a presidential pardon would have stopped it on the now we have a guy with autism who's about to lose his life on the 17th because his baby girl she's 2 years old, had a fever. She had health problems, a lot of health problems, rolled off the bed. So he must have been poor. He's autistic. He's got zero affect, no expression. I actually called the governor's office and I said, karma never misses its mark. I said, you need to do something. And this is an adult with autism who was not diagnosed with autism until he went to jail. So that tells you a lot about the public school system, because if we know more, supposedly we just know so much more. Well, no, he's got autism. He's Asperger's, but he's got Asperger's where he wasn't taught to make eye contact, and he was probably abused by his family. And so he learned how to not show emotions to survive. We're seeing how stupid we were in the 70s and 80s. The Menendez brothers. People, I mentioned in another life, were laughing at the detailed of their abuse from their own father. Incestual. Violent. And all the singers, the Menudo, the band Menudo, most of them, if not all of them, were being essayed by Jose Menendez. And while the trial was going on, none of them came forward to say something. So there are multiple aspects to this. It's the way we brainwash our kids in public schools. It's the way we harm them by saying and make them feel like they're never important. What they say is never important. Shut up, sit down, don't interrupt the teacher. When you look at how kids are educated in Montessori, and they have these tables and these different, my son at the age of 5 knew his phone number, which was my phone number. Can you imagine? I've actually looked at kids. I go, what's your kid's? 8 years old doesn't know their fucking parents' phone number. That's a disgrace. And my kid at 5 knew how to write his name. Because not only did I teach him these things, but he also went to a Montessori. Okay? And so Montessori and Rudolf Steiner methods are very interesting methods. And it should be the foundation of all education all over the world until we can originate even better than that. But it's not. So instead, what we do is we have had hunters and gatherers for thousands of years, right? And we are not, violation warning. I'm so sick of these people. They're constantly, Angie, it's like you, they're constantly attacking my life. It's the funniest thing because some teacher got triggered or some parent, right? CPS let kids stay in a way worse situation. There's bigger, must be. They turned into the monster he created. Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of things going on. Yes, okay, let me see. There's too much fraud here. She has voiced her willingness to abuse power. I bet he was a witness to something they didn't want to see him. Why else go for an abuse ASD adult? To be honest with you, I've connected that to what scares me, and it does. When I say scared, I mean it's a massive concern. Is I look at the seven sign with Demi Moore, and I look at this person with autism about to lose his life under a corrupt CPS system, and I'm wondering what that's all about, you know? And I don't know what it could be. I'm just, maybe, yeah. I know that with Marcus Williamson, the governor was being investigated by the reporter who lost her life, who Marcus was accused of, you know, taking her life. I hate that word unalivened. So I try to find other ways to say it because I am so sick of that word. So there was some corruptness regarding gasoline, and this guy was a sheriff, the governor, the current governor, and there was he was doing some shit with the gasoline. I think he was adding alcohol. And he owned gas stations. He was a sheriff, and she was actually investigating him for fraud. So it's funny. It's funny how this shit happens. They turned. Anyway, I'm gonna let you guys go. There's a lot. So hopefully, Cosmic Canary, we can talk about the about special education and kids with special different learning needs. I'm not going to say special needs. I'm going to say various learning needs. And various learning needs where some kids are so brilliant, they actually need to be, what's the word? Empowered and ignited into passion. And I know my son, Laura, loved to count. He was using his fingers like an abacus at the age of 5, just doing like 10 pages of math. And when I took him into, because we had to, we were trying to get into double income. I had to go back to work. And we put him into the supposedly best public school where we lived in South Pasadena, which turned out to be an absolute fucking joke. Within a 6-month period, he had completely regressed, and I was having meetings with the teacher, going, I don't understand, why won't you let him use his fingers? Well, we don't, that's not how we do. I go, and I didn't give a fuck how they learned. My first meeting with the principal, he was 1 grade ahead. Within 6 months, he was 1 grade behind because of the way they were teaching him. They basically stripped him of everything he had learned. And guess what? The Anunnaki, Angie, you guys will love that. The Anunnaki used to use their fingers to count to 60. You see the lines on the back of your fingers? It blew my mind when I found this out. So you see the line on your pinky? There are 2 lines, right? 1, 2, 3, right? 1, 2, 3. That's how, so that would be 30, right? And they would go, and that's how they counted. Or they would just break it down to 3 on the pinky, 6 with the second finger, third finger, right? 9, and that's how they would count. Can you fucking, with their fingers, using those lines that we have on the back of our fingers as countermeasures. It's amazing. So the concept of counting with your finger goes back to the Anunnaki. That's so much to discuss here. Shut him down on purpose. Exactly. It was on purpose. Decided to leave this world. No, because they didn't decide to leave this world. The life was ripped out of them. That's how I put it. Life was ripped out of them. Or drop their bodies is when they leave. The life was ripped out of them is when that life was taken. That's how I say it. Because I'm so sick of that word on live, and I can't take it anymore. I just can't. All right, my loves, I'm going to let you go. It was a pleasure. I'll upload this. It's interesting, we have races of people that look just like this. I've seen them in my visions. And that's why I chose it today. And they're humanoids from other planets. Really cool. Any last questions or comments before I say goodbye? My throat is hurting and I want to sleep. Any other questions, comments? Okay, so Cosmic Canary, you have my number. Let me know when we should probably do it either this week or next week. And thank you. You're welcome. You're great. You're going to be okay. And any other last comments or questions? Any other last things you want to share? Okay, so I will have really wonderful special guests this coming week on chats, on finding your voice, more involved in finding your voice. And also a chat on, what the hell was it about again? I forgot, bloody hell. Oh, yes, on homelessness. Rest up, my love. Love this very much. So, yeah, I'll be on homelessness. And the reason why we're going to talk about homelessness is because we need to talk about how it impacts, how the ripple effects impacts even you, believe it or not. Because the despair attached to it is covert. And it's going to be something that we need to, as a people, handle, because clearly they've shown us, this particular administration has shown us that they don't give one fuck about homelessness, and they're never, ever going to put one foot forward towards it. And so it'll be a very interesting discussion. I think there'll be like 2 or 3 people. Sarah, hopefully, Andromeda Flame will be part of it. Other people will be part of it. It should be very exciting. And it should be a very active live, and probably a very long live. All right, my loves. I will advertise it, okay? I will totally advertise it. All right, sending you much love on your journey. Namaste. Be well. Take care. Oh, I love this. I'm going to leave it right there.